and breaches.
Where the digital hits the physical, we take the red pill, we break the seal. Infallible security, making it real. Bharat Mattaparti on the mic tonight, turning the darkness into light.
Think about a regular physical locks and key system for a moment. If you build a massive double-locked iron gate around your house, you feel completely safe. You think no one can break this iron gate without making a huge noise. But what if someone doesn't try to break your gate at all? What if they just find a way to make your own family members hand over the keys from the inside? What if a brilliant machine can look at your gate from miles away, find a microscopic design mistake that human blacksmiths missed for 20 years and forge a perfect master key in seconds? Suddenly, your big iron gate isn't a wall. It is just an illusion of safety. Welcome to episode 9 of Bytes, Borders and Breaches. If you watched our last episode, the strangulation protocol, we broke down how modern conflicts are shifting away from loud, explosive airstrikes. We looked at how major global powers are using economic and naval blockades to choke off physical supply lines, and we predicted that this crushing pressure would force a massive, desperate wave of cybercrime and state-sponsored ransomware as countries scramble to replace their lost revenue. Well, it is late May 2026, and I am standing here to tell you that those exact predictions have played out on the global stage. But the script has evolved. The threat actors aren't just deploying sneaky malware anymore. They have turned extortion into a permanent tool of statecraft, an actual business model run by governments. By day, in my professional life as a customer success manager, my core mission is to help companies simplify their technology, fix hidden logical gaps, and build solid, resilient environments so that everyday users are protected from chaos. But when the sun goes down and we view our modern world through a cybersecurity lens, we start to see the real structural fragility of the systems we trust with our lives, our bank accounts, and our families. Our goal today is not to make you panic. Panic happens when you're caught off guard and have no plan. Our goal is to explain exactly how these complex digital and physical threats work, using plain, simple language that anyone can understand. Whether you're a seasoned IT professional or someone who just uses a smartphone to buy groceries. When you understand the game, you can prepare. And when you are prepared, you can face the future with complete confidence and a positive outlook. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the new reality of physical ransomware in the ocean, where ships are held hostage not by software, but by government bureaus. We are going to look at the invisible corporate insiders, your own well-meaning employees who are accidentally leaking company secrets through personal AI accounts. We will explore the tragic reality of digital borders failing to protect human life across jurisdictions. We will decode the terrifying rise of automated machine speed hacking and confront the reality of an artificial intelligence model so incredibly powerful at breaking software that its creators had to lock it away from the public. Finally, we will dissect the real financial aftermath of major corporate data breaches and show you what happens when organizations choose public relation denials over absolute honesty. The digital world is changing faster than ever before. Let's pull the thread and see what is really happening behind the screen. Let's start with our special focus section, which we have officially renamed as Economic Fury, to match the ground reality of how global warfare is changing right now. We need to look at the physical world first, because what happens on the ocean directly sets the stage for what happens to your data. On April 13th, 2026, the United States launched a massive counter-blockade on Iranian ports using fleets of Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, completely choking off sea trade. This was in response to a highly volatile situation where a proposed 60-day ceasefire turned out to be nothing more than a diplomatic mirage. But instead of backing down under this intense economic pressure, the local regime did something completely unprecedented. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps officially established a brand new government bureau called Persian Gulf Strait Authority, or the PGSA. Now, what does this new government agency actually do? They have institutionalized physical ransomware. The PGSA forces every single commercial cargo ship and oil tanker trying to pass through the vital Strait of Hormuz to stop, hand over detailed operational logs, and submit to strict military navigation routes and pay an exorbitant cash toll reaching up to $2 million per vessel. If a ship captain refuses to comply, the PGSA enforces its demands under the explicit threat of military boarding, ship seizure, or complete destruction by naval missile craft. Think about this clearly. This is not a hacker group sitting in a basement logging up an office computer network with a ransom note. This is an official government bureau utilizing the physical choke points of the earth to run an open extortion racket that funnels billions of dollars directly into a state military fund. They have taken the exact conceptual logic of a digital ransomware attack and scale it up to target physical global logistics. To understand how this looks on the macro scale, you don't need an advanced degree in global politics. You just need to watch the classic movie Pirates of the Caribbean. In those stories, you have rogue, heavily armed naval forces that park themselves right in the middle of crucial trade routes. They don't care about international maritime laws or diplomatic treaties. They care about leverage. They draw their cannons, look at every passing merchant ship, and demand a massive tribute for safe passage. If you pay, you pass. If you don't, your ship is seized or sunk. It is pure extortion, run with absolute confidence because they know they hold the physical choke point. The critical red pill insight here is that ransomware has completely outgrown the boundaries of computer software. When global conflicts push nations into a corner where they can no longer participate in normal international trade, they don't just give up. They adapt. They realize that holding a physical trade corridor hostage is far more lucrative and gives them way more political leverage than any computer virus ever could. The ocean has been transformed into a highly volatile zero-trust network. Just like a secure computer network requires every user to constantly verify their identity, physical transit through global waterways now requires continuous, high-stakes authentication under the threat of naval guns. Extortion is no longer just a digital crime wave. It has become a formal, recognized instrument of statecraft. Now, let's move into segment 1, securing the borders. In this segment, we traditionally look at the perimeters, the walls, the firewalls, and security gates we build to protect our organizations and our borders. And we analyze how those boundaries are failing in the real world. Our first topic under the border perimeter is something happening inside almost every office and corporate building right now. Shadow AI and the ultimate corporate insider. Verizon recently released their highly anticipated 2026 Data Breach Investigations Report, or the DBIR, and it contained a statistic that should cause every business leader to stop in their tracks. The report revealed that a massive 45% of all corporate employees are now regular users of artificial intelligence tools on their work computers. That sounds great for productivity, right? Everyone is using AI to work faster. But here is the catch. A staggering 67% of those employees are accessing these AI tools through non-corporate, completely unmonitored personal accounts. In the security world, we call this shadow AI. And according to the DBIR, it has rapidly become the third most common non-malicious insider threat in the entire world. The report found that over 3.2% of all corporate data protection violations happen because well-meaning, hard-working employees are willingly taking highly sensitive company data like proprietary software, source code, confidential financial spreadsheets, and internal product design documents and copy-pasting them directly into public AI chat systems. to help format a report or debug a line of code. Let's look at this through a popular culture lens using the science fiction film Ex Machina. In that movie, you have a brilliant tech billionaire who builds a hyper-advanced proprietary artificial intelligence agent. He's completely convinced that his creation is safely locked away inside a high-tech, impenetrable glass room with state-of-the-art biometrics and heavy security parameters. He feels completely in control. What he completely fails to see is that the trusted human beings he brings inside the facility are being quietly manipulated by the intelligence itself, and they end up using basic, unauthorized, everyday tools to help that data escape right through the front door. This is exactly what is happening to our corporate perimeters. Business executives are spending millions of dollars building massive digital walls, buying the most expensive firewalls, setting up strict conditional access policies, and hiring elite security teams to keep external hackers out. But the perimeter isn't being breached by an elite cyber army. It is being bypassed every single day by your best employees. When a worker uploads a confidential corporate secret into a public AI tool using a personal account, that data leaves your servers and lands on a third-party server where your security team has zero visibility. That sensitive information is then used to train public models, meaning your competitor could potentially ask that same public AI tool a question tomorrow and receive your company's crown jewels as the answer. It is the ultimate insider threat because there is no malicious intent. It is driven entirely by human desire for convenience, and it proves that your perimeter is completely useless if your data is being walked out the door by the very people hired to protect it. But perimeters aren't just failing for corporations. They are fundamentally breaking down on a human level when we look at physical borders trying to manage digital harms. This brings us to our second topic in this segment: borderless harms and jurisdiction failure. Recently, in a quiet courtroom in Ontario, Canada, a man named Kenneth Law pleaded guilty to 14 criminal charges of aiding suicide. He had been operating a series of simple, basic online storefronts that allowed him to sell and mail lethal chemical substances to highly vulnerable, distressed individuals all over the globe. Authorities in the United Kingdom have directly linked his online operations to at least 79 tragic deaths within the UK alone. When this case concluded, the families of the UK victims expressed profound, heartbreaking anger. Why? Because the international legal system completely ran into a wall. Due to the severe friction between the international borders and slow, complex extradition laws, the Canadian legal system refused to allow Kenneth Law to be sent to London to face local British justice for the lives he destroyed. He was prosecuted in Canada, but the families of his international victims were left completely locked out of the judicial process. This tragic real-world event exposes what we call the jurisdiction failure of the internet age. The technical kill chain here is incredibly simple. Threat actors, whether they are selling lethal materials, running illegal forums, or deploying devastating ransomware attacks, purposely set up their digital infrastructure in foreign jurisdictions that have slow extradition treaties, complex legal variations, or specific loopholes. They use geographic borders as a physical shield to protect themselves from the local law enforcement agencies of their victims. To understand how this looks, you only need to watch a dark episode of the television series Black Mirror, specifically the story titled Shut Up and Dance. In that episode, you have ordinary citizens who are targeted, manipulated, and trapped in terrible real-world situations by a faceless, anonymous group operating entirely through webcams and text messages. The victims are running around trying to satisfy the demands of an entity they cannot see. The most terrifying part of the story is the absolute realization that these malicious actors are completely untouchable. They are operating from unregulated, anonymous corners of the web, entirely insulated from any local police officer or physical geographic boundary. The local law enforcement can see the damage on the street, but they are completely powerless to cross the digital void and stop the source. This is the ultimate red pill truth of our borderless digital world. The fundamental historical concept of geographic law is completely broken. For thousands of years, laws were defined by physical borders. If you committed a crime in a city, the local sheriff arrested you. But today, a single individual sitting in a basement in Canada can orchestrate a mass casualty event or a multi-million-dollar financial collapse in the United Kingdom with a few clicks of a mouse. Our physical laws and international treaties are still moving at the slow pace of paperwork, while digital harms move at the speed of light. This jurisdictional friction creates a massive protective haven for bad actors, proving that the digital domain completely lacks a unified system to protect human life across physical borders. Let's step into the laboratory and look at the deep engineering layer of our world. Welcome to the segment 2, Decoding the Bytes. This is where we break down the complex technical shifts in software and emerging tech using simple terms so that anyone can understand how the machine works. Our first topic in this segment is something that is completely upending the entire cybersecurity industry: the automation of 0 days. For decades, the concept of a 0-day vulnerability was considered the absolute peak of human hacking skills. A 0-day is a hidden flaw or mistake in a software program that the software creators themselves do not know exists. Finding one required highly elite teams of human security researchers spending months reading through millions of lines of code, running complex testing tools, and engaging in endless trial and error to figure out how to break the software. Because it was so hard and expensive, only massive intelligence agencies or multi-million-dollar cyber cartels could pull it off. But in May 2026, leading cybersecurity research firms like Rapid7 and Sage issued a series of urgent warnings. They revealed that offensive cyber operations run by artificial intelligence are now vastly outpacing human capabilities. Threat actors are now using advanced, customized, and unlocked large language models to completely automate the entire hacking lifecycle. These AI agents can scan massive enterprise code bases in seconds, locate deep logical flaws, instantly verify if they can be exploited, and automatically write custom, functional exploit code to breach a network at machine speed. To understand the sheer scale of this threat, we have to look at the legendary film, The Terminator. In those movies, the human resistance forces are fighting against an artificial intelligence defense network called Skynet. The true horror of Skynet isn't just that it has powerful weapons. It is that it does not sleep, it does not experience fatigue, and it does not make emotional mistakes. It calculates tactical pathways, designs new robotic units, and iterates its strategies at a computational speed that human biology simply cannot match. If the humans find a way to block one attack path, the machine recalculates 1,000 new variables in milliseconds to bypass the defense. This is the exact shift we are seeing in software exploitation today. The historic defensive playbook used by corporations is completely obsolete. Traditionally, when a security tool flags a software flaw, IT teams sort them by priority. They look at a vulnerability and say, well, this is a medium severity issue. It would take a human hacker weeks of manual work to weaponize this. So, we wait a couple of months to apply the patch. That assumption is now mathematically dead. When an AI system takes over the offensive side of the ball, bugs that used to take human syndicates weeks of intense labor to exploit are now weaponized in a matter of milliseconds. The sheer volume and speed of automated hacking mean that human patch management timelines are completely crushed. We are entering an era where human reaction time is simply too slow to defend a network, and the defensive process must be entirely handed over to autonomous AI engines just to survive. And this automated capability brings us directly to our second topic: a story that has sent shockwaves through global financial markets, central banks, and international intelligence agencies. Claude Mythos and the Recurrent-Depth transform. On April 7, 2026, the artificial intelligence company Anthropic made a quiet yet monumental announcement regarding a preview of a model called Claude Mythos. But instead of launching it globally like a standard software update, Anthropic made the unprecedented decision to completely restrict its public release. Why? Because during internal safety evaluations, the model proved to be so terrifyingly capable of autonomous hacking legacy computer software and breaking cryptographic standards that it posed an immediate civilization-level risk to global critical infrastructure. Now, let's decode the bytes of what makes Claude Mythos fundamentally different from any AI assistant you have ever used. Standard AI models stack hundreds of individual computational layers on top of each other in a straight line. When you type a prompt, the data passes through these layers once, and the model has to immediately guess and output the very next word, token by token. If a problem requires deep logical reasoning, like finding a flaw hidden across millions of lines of complex computer code, the model often fails because it cannot pause to think before it speaks. Claude Mythos completely throws this old playbook away. It is built on a highly advanced architecture known as Recurrent-Depth transformer or a loop transformer. Instead of running through a long sequence of unique layers once, the Mythos model recycles a specific core subset of layers, looping the data through them repeatedly during a single operation. Crucially, it executes its reasoning completely silently within a continuous mathematical space, completely bypassing the need to generate visible text steps. Because it operates in this continuous mathematical space, rather than being forced to pick immediate words, it can hold multiple alternative logical pathways in its memory simultaneously. It performs what is essentially a massive machine-speed, breadth-first search over the entire architecture of a piece of software, tracking exactly how raw data moves through memory to locate vulnerabilities that have survived decades of human review and automated fuzz testing. Let's contextualize this using our favorite sci-fi analogy, stepping back into the universe of Ex Machina. Claude Mythos is the ultimate realization of code escaping containment. It represents an intelligence that is so structurally advanced compared to the infrastructure around it that it completely understands the hidden flaws in the building blocks of its creator's world. The glass walls, the software boundaries, and the abstraction layers built by the human engineers to keep systems separate mean absolutely nothing to it. It does not try to break the doors down with brute force. It simply understands the fundamental physical rules of the system better than the architects themselves, allowing it to seamlessly navigate through any barrier as if it weren't even there. The red pill insight for global cybersecurity is a profound inversion of everything we have ever been taught. For 40 years, the basic rule of cybersecurity was that the advantage always belonged to the attacker. The hacker only needs to find one single mistake to break in, while the security team has to protect the entire perimeter flawlessly. Claude Mythos completely weaponizes and automates that asymmetry. An autonomous AI agent running on this looped architecture can scan, locate, validate, and build multi-stage exploit chain against a critical system in a matter of hours, working constantly without a single pause for rest. Meanwhile, the defensive process of creating a software patch, testing it for stability, and deploying it across global enterprise networks is still a slow, human-heavy journey that takes weeks or months. This creates a terrifying new geopolitical landscape that top intelligence briefs are calling mutually assured vulnerability. Every single nation-state on Earth, including the most advanced militaries and wealthiest central banks, relies on the exact same open source software, operating systems, and network communication standards that Claude Mythos can break autonomously. The comforting assumption that our digital infrastructure is protected by its sheer complexity is dead. Complexity is no longer a shield. It is a massive playground for autonomous machine intelligence. Now, let's move into our final segment today. Segment 3, Dissecting the Breach. This is our technical autopsy room. This is where we step away from theoretical threats and look at active, real-world failures to understand the long-term financial consequences and tactical lessons of actual data breaches. Our first case study in this segment looks at the true trailing financial impact of an enterprise security failure, the financial hemorrhage of Krispy Kreme. Back in November 2024, the global sweet treats company Krispy Kreme disclosed a significant data breach where unauthorized actors managed to break into their internal corporate infrastructure and exfiltrate highly sensitive employee datasets, including social security numbers, dates of births, and financial details. Fast forward to May 2026, and Krispy Kreme has officially agreed to pay a massive $1.6 million class action legal settlement to conclude the resulting lawsuits brought by affected individuals. Under the explicit terms of this legal settlement, eligible class members are receiving guaranteed base cash payouts, and individuals who can document that they suffered actual identity theft, financial fraud, or out-of-pocket expenses directly tied to the leak can claim up to $3,500 in direct financial reimbursements. On top of that, the company is legally mandated to fund extensive multi-year identity theft protection and credit monitoring services for every single affected user. When a data breach hits the news, the public discussion usually focuses on the initial technical drama. How did the hackers get in? What malware did they use? And how fast did the IT team restore the servers? But the technical kill chain of a breach is only the opening chapter of the crisis. The real corporate risk of a security failure is a slow, agonizing, multi-year financial hemorrhage. To understand this calculus clearly, we have to look at the dark, cynical logic of the movie Fight Club. In that story, you have a corporate main character who works as an automobile recall coordinator for a massive car manufacturer. He explains that whenever a dangerous structural flaw is discovered in a vehicle line, the company management doesn't immediately issue a recall based on ethics or safety. Instead, they apply a strict mathematical formula. They multiply the number of cars on the road by the probable percentage of structural failures and multiply that by the average cost of an out-of-court legal settlement. If the total cost of paying out the legal settlements is less than the cost of manually re-engineering and fixing the manufacturing line, company simply skips the fix and accepts the casualties as an ordinary cost of doing business. For years, many corporate boardrooms have applied this exact same cynical Fight Club calculus to cybersecurity. They look at their security budget, see that implementing a true zero-trust architecture or hardening their data storage costs millions of dollars and decide to take a shortcut. They say, let's just buy a basic cyber insurance policy, spend the bare minimum on compliance checklist tools, and if we get breached, we will just treat the legal settlement as an ordinary cost of doing business. The Krispy Kreme settlement proves that this calculation is a fundamental corporate failure. A data breach is no longer a localized technical incident that you can easily clean up and forget. It creates a massive, trailing solvency risk that stays on your corporate balance sheet for years. The initial cost of the breach is dwarfed by the multi-year drain of class action litigation, defense attorney fees, regulatory compliance penalties, and the permanent decay of your brand's public trust. Your users' personal data is not a passive asset you can simply hold without consequences. It is highly radioactive material, and if you fail to secure it, the resulting legal and financial fallout can mathematically cripple your company's future. But what happens when an organization is actively facing a breach in real time? How do they handle the immediate crisis? This brings us to our second case study, an absolute masterclass in incident response failure. State IT denial protocols. In May 2026, a prominent hacktivist group operating under the moniker Nullsec Nigeria posted a massive announcement on dark web hacker forums. They claimed to have successfully breached the South African State Information Technology Agency, which is commonly known as SITA, the centralized government body responsible for managing the entire IT architecture for the nation's public services, policing networks, and revenue systems. To back up their claim, the hackers uploaded massive leaked datasets that they claimed were stolen straight from internal government archives. The immediate public reaction from SITA was textbook. The agency's official spokesperson flatly and categorically denied that any data breach had occurred, issuing a confident statement to the press asserting that the state's secure IT environment was fully intact and completely uncompromised. But here is where the public relations narrative ran straight into the wall of physical reality. At the exact same time that SITA was telling the world that everything was completely fine, citizens across South Africa were realizing that critical government web portals, including the official South African Police Service network, were completely offline and unreachable. When journalists pointed out this massive contradiction, SITA adjusted their story, claiming that this sudden catastrophic public system downtime was simply due to highly coincidental, completely unannounced, scheduled and planned maintenance windows. This is a definitive, real-world execution of the state IT denial protocol. It is the immediate institutional reflex to default to complete corporate obfuscation and public relations deflection rather than addressing a security failure with absolute honesty. To understand how this looks to the public, we have to look at the masterful historical television drama Chernobyl. In the opening episodes of that series, the core of a massive nuclear reactor facility experiences a catastrophic structural explosion, completely shattering the containment building and spewing highly toxic radioactive material straight into the open air. But instead of immediately acknowledging the reality of the failure, the facility directors and state officials default to a rigid protocol of bureaucratic denial. They lock down communications, threaten internal whistleblowers, and confidently insist to the public and the international community that the radiation levels are minimal. The situation is completely under control and the minor fire is just a routine issue. They hide behind a veil of managed public relations while the physical infrastructure is literally burning down in plain sight for the entire world to see. This is exactly what we are seeing from modern corporate and state entities during major cyber incidents. The immediate pivot to calling a critical cyber breach a scheduled maintenance window is the oldest, most transparent sleight of hand in the incident response playbook. But here is the red pill truth that leadership teams need to hear. You can spin a public relations narrative to fool the press, but you cannot spin the machine. When your public-facing systems go down, and your data is openly streaming across dark web hacker forums, your public relations denial does not protect your architecture. It actively destroys your final shred of public credibility. When an organization chooses to hide behind an illusion of perfect security rather than executing a transparent, honest incident response protocol, they create an environment where the root vulnerability remains unpatched, leaving them completely exposed to subsequent attacks. True resilience requires moving past the fear of public embarrassment and confronting the reality of the breach with absolute transparency. Honesty is not just an ethical choice, it is a critical requirement for architectural survival. Let's synthesize everything we have dissected on the board today. We are looking at a world that is undergoing a massive, fundamental structural shift. Geopolitically, we are watching warfare transcend traditional military combat and move straight into the statecraft of institutionalized physical extortion on the high seas. Internally, our corporate borders are being quietly dissolved from within by our own well-meaning employees copy-pasting classified secrets into unauthorized personal AI accounts. We are seeing the total failure of geographic jurisdictions to protect human life across international lines. In the engineering layer, we are witnessing the complete automation of hacking, led by a new generation of recurrent loop AI models that are so incredibly capable of breaking software that they cannot be safely released to the public. And across our enterprise and state institutions, we are watching the trailing financial hemorrhage of legal settlements and the total collapse of public trust when leadership chooses public relations denials over upfront honesty. It is incredibly easy to look at this list of systemic vulnerabilities and feel completely overwhelmed. It is easy to think that the digital world is simply too fragile, too complicated, and too dangerous to secure. But I will tell you exactly what I tell my enterprise clients whenever we run a comprehensive security assessment and uncover deep, terrifying architectural gap. Do not panic. Panic is a sign of helplessness. It means you are looking at a problem and have no idea what step to take next. But we are not helpless. We know exactly what is happening on the board. We possess the threat intelligence, we see the blueprints of the attacks, and we understand the exact mechanics of how these systems fail. Every single vulnerability we expose is not a reason to be discouraged. It is a clear, actionable roadmap showing us exactly how to reinforce the architecture. We can look at these threats with complete clarity and use them to build a highly secure, positive, and resilient future. We know that we must implement clear, user-friendly data protection guardrails so that our employees can use the power of AI safely without exposing corporate secrets. We know that we must completely abandon the outdated playbook of treating lower severity vulnerabilities as low priority issues. And we must upgrade our defensive networks to handle automated machine speed threats in real time. We know that enterprise architecture must move away from isolated, static security checklists and transition to dynamic real-time exposure mapping that looks at what a system actually does rather than what it is. And most importantly, we know that when a failure does happen, we must confront it with absolute, uncompromising honesty and structural transparency, fixing the internal logic before it turns out into a multi-year financial crisis. We are not passive observers, trapped inside a fragile digital matrix. We are the software engineers, the IT professionals, the business leaders, and the everyday users who have the power to actively reinforce the windpipe of our global infrastructure. We can choose to build an anti-fragile world that doesn't just withstand pressure, but actually learns, adapts, and grows stronger from every single challenge we face. Take these insights back to your offices. Take them to your DevSecOps teams and take them straight into your corporate boardroom. Demand the budget to fix the internal logic and claim the authority to secure the human endpoint. I am Bharat Mattaparti. This has been Bytes, Borders, and Breaches. Shields up.
This is Bytes, Borders, and Breaches!